my kitchen. I'm glad you've joined me today, and today I want to teach you a simple tool that has revolutionized my life, and I hope it will be useful in yours. I don't know, have you ever sat around and wondered where in the world all these strange people come that live with you? I mean, exactly, if they just listen to you and do it your way, wouldn't life just be a little easier? Well, I understand that, because that happened in my life. I was nearly 30 years old before I got married, and it was really quite unusual for my family. They were terribly worried about me. They would call me up and say, "Sweetie, haven't you found a man yet?" Now, it's a little difficult when you begin that age because cousins meaningfully call me. And one of my cousins said, "Now, Hazel, you do know that there isn't a kettle so crooked you can't find a lid to fit it." I wasn't very comfortable, but I started searching for a unusually shaped lid. Another cousin called and said, "Now, Hazel, what is it you're really looking for?" And this was my answer to her. I am looking for a string to hold this big balloon for me. I feel like I'm a red helium balloon with a little tiny white string hanging off it, and I'm just bouncing along on top of the earth, and one day I may just fly off and no one will even know I was ever here. And that will really make me feel badly. What I really need is a rock to ground me to the earth. Oh my goodness, guess what I married? You got it, a rock. Well, not only that, I thought I'd look at Scripture, see what it has to say about searching for the right persons in your life, the right family. And I found a fabulous text by David, who, by the way, David was the dad of the smartest man on earth, Solomon. So he must know something about all of this stuff. So he says in Psalms 139, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." And I took that in. I thought, yes, I'm going to be wonderfully made, and I'm going to go out there and find the right person for me. So I went searching, and sure enough, I met this amazing man named Dan. And I met him, and I thought, wow, he is not only fearfully made, but he's wonderfully made. And so what did I do? I took him home and married him. Took him home. After a few weeks, he still looked pretty wonderful, but couple problems. I don't know if that's happened to you. Couple problems. Although he could flex in the mirror, he seemed a little weak. His dirty laundry could not end up in the laundry hamper. It laid on top. Wonderfully isn't so good anymore. And you know, he squeezed the toothpaste wrong. He put the toilet paper on wrong. I mean, you know what I mean, right? That's happened at your house too. So the wonderful wasn't so good anymore. So what did two married people do? When wonderful starts kind of evaporating between the two of them, they go to the next best step. They go, let's have a baby. Certainly, if we bring this lovely little baby home, they will be so wonderful and adorable and perfect. And I see you understand what I'm talking about. Well, we went and had our first child. That was quite an experience, and all of you women who've had children, you understand that. An unusual thing happens on the birth table. You become a new woman. You turn into a lioness. There is nothing more important than this little infant. Oh, you love them so much, and they're so perfect, and they're so wonderful. Well, I didn't even get home. This little child started screaming at 12 hours of age, and she screamed till she was 3. Her eyes didn't wake up, but that she didn't scream. I thought I'd have a little baby that just snuggled on my shoulder. And then I got Shane. She was much more interested in seeing everybody out there and smiling at people, but at home she was just a little tough. She was not easy. She sat in that little crib looking out through those little slats saying, "When can I take over this family?" And it wasn't long till she had. In fact, when she finally had language to talk about herself, I remember asking her one day when she was crying yet again, "Shani, sweetie, honey, why are you crying?" And through little tears she goes, "Mommy, I just need to cry." Oh, some children need to cry, okay. Well, if child number 1 wasn't good enough to see if we could make it wonderful, Dan and I decided to try for child number 2. Now, child number 2 was nothing like child number 1. Child number 2 was just as sweet and adorable as could be. little peaceful dude. He hardly woke up. I had to rub his feet to wake up, make him wake up and perk up, and then he sat around. He kind of looked out at the family. I bought him a tricycle. He didn't ride the tricycle. He just simply looked at it. He looked at it for weeks. I'd put him on and he'd jump off. After several weeks, one day, he got on the bicycle and rode it perfectly. Oh, different child. Rules for child number 1 don't work for rules child number 2. What's this? So guess what? My husband and I decided we would go for 3 because certainly by 3, we would have the right person in our home. So we had child number 3. Again, totally different child. Wore her feelings on her sleeve and was pretty happy. Her daddy named her Sparkle and Shine. Now, lest you think that you have a strange family, let me tell you, all of us do. We have those unusual people in our life. They live with us, they work with us, and they are even our friends. I'm going to teach you a really simple tool today to start understanding people. It's somewhat scientific, but not completely so, but it works. Back in the 80s, I met an amazing woman named Florence Littauer, and if you have an opportunity to read her books, Personality Puzzle, she taught me why we're so different, what's unusual about us, and how we can relate to other people, how we all bring amazing strengths to our relationships, and how there's some things we each need to work on because, by the way, who is it you can change? Yeah, you got it, just you. I know you've tried changing other people, and that absolutely doesn't work. Several years later, I also met a man named Eric Ellenbaugh who teaches Interact, and I've become a coach with his system as well as with Florence's. And today I bring you a blend of those as well as some other observations I've made. Now, I know you may have taken Myers-Briggs, and that becomes very complex. It's huge. What I want to give you is a simple tool, something you can use every day. Now, I based this simple tool on something as simple as cards, but let me go back and show you some things about the timeless principles behind any temperament study you will ever do. Principle number 1, temperaments are not new. They were identified in 450 BC by Hippocrates. Now, I don't know if you know who Hippocrates is, but he is the father of modern medicine. Really modern, right? 450 BC. This guy was a strange dude. He stuck around in the basement with some cadavers and he examined them deeply. And he noticed that not everybody was alike. There were people who were always happy. There were people who were deep and thoughtful. There were people who were always in charge. And there were people who were just peaceful. And so out of that, he determined it was by what flowed through their veins that made them the way they were. So first of all, he saw those bright, happy people who could speak anywhere, at any time, with or without information. You know those. Tall tales are fine. And he realized that what flowed through their veins was bright, red, sanguineous blood. And he called them sanguines, but I'm going to call them diamonds because they always sparkle. He also noticed that there were people that were deep, thoughtful, given to great genius, always working on facts, always looking for the deep detail, and could study violin for hours on end. And he noticed that they, in their veins, was dark black melancholy, is what he called it. So he called them melancholies, but I call them spades because they're always digging deeper. They're always looking for the real truth and the facts behind everything. He noticed there were some other people, always in charge. They could think in a moment. They had 3 ideas right now, get it done, do it my way, now, people. And he looked at them and said, ooh, yellow cholera goes through their veins. He called them cholerics, too hard to remember, but I call them clubs. Do it my way now. They kind of carry a big club, right? And then lastly, he noticed there were some peaceful people. People you could always count on, quiet, calm, loving, come on in, sit a spell, relax, take a load off, chill. He called them phlegmatics because he thought phlegm ran through their veins. I call them hearts. They're always taking care of everybody, aren't they? Another thing I know is that we are born with our temperaments. I told you about my little daughter, my oldest one, born powerful, born strong, born a club. My son, born a heart with some spade tendencies. My youngest daughter, born a diamond with heart tendencies. It's how she is. It's how we always are. We do not change. But what we do change is our reactions to life. we can show up with more understanding and better temperament. We all know that all of us have a place that we have great strengths, and we also have places we need to stretch personally. We need to knock off those edges. We need to become kinder and gentler and use our strengths to the very best abilities. And we know that every strength carried to an extreme becomes a real problem for us. Socrates said, "Know thyself." And today, on the first of the series of 5, we're going to talk about ourselves. We're not going to worry about other people. We're going to think about who we are. I also know that we use different strategies on good days than we do on challenging days. We pull out great strengths on good days. We also bring out some things that don't work so well on good days. And on bad days, we dig into our basket of tools and we pull out some other really good strengths, and then we use some things that don't work so well for us. I also know we can't change our temperament any more than you can change the way you walk. You're made this way. You're wired this way from the beginning, and it's with real purpose that this has happened. Have you ever tried to change the way you walk? My mom used to tell me that I walked like a duck. So I worked for days trying to walk around my house, making sure that my toe turned in, not turned out. It didn't work. I can't change it. But we can change how we use the strengths that we have. We're going to find out that many of us are a blend of more than one temperament style. And lastly, we find out that temperaments are as old as the Bible. If you go to the first narrative of Hebrew Scripture, you'll notice that's Genesis. And what happened in Genesis? Well, Genesis tells a story about how God made the earth. That's great. And at the end of Genesis 1, we find out that He made man. And how did He make man? It says He made him whole and complete and perfect, just like God was. Whole, complete, and perfect. However, that was an interesting Friday because Adam sat around and named all the animals. And as he named all the animals, and they all by him, I guess Adam must have sat around there and go, "Ooh, wow, one of me, 2 cows, 2 ducks, 2 pigs, 2 horses, 2 lions, one of me." So in Genesis 2, something happens. Remember that story? Adam goes, "Don't like this being alone so much. I think I'd like another person." Now, I know some of you think Adam was foolish right there. He lost the battle. But that's not how the story goes. So how does the story go? Adam said, "God, you know, I think I'd like to be 2 of me. Be better for us." So God causes what? Great sleep to go across Adam. First surgery. Got it? And what does He do with Adam? You know the story. It says He takes a rib from Adam, and out of that rib He creates Eve, first woman. Now, if you're willing to research back a little bit into Scripture and what the word rib means in the original Aramaic language, the word rib is determined to be side of. I think this is so fascinating. Here is Adam, whole, complete, and perfect. And then he said, "Well, I'd like us to be 2. So Adam gets taken apart. Half of Adam over here, the other half is Eve. Opposite halves of a whole. Did you marry somebody that was opposite of you? Do you find your best friend is opposite of you? Do you find out your whole life you take that person and try to shape them up, and just as soon as you get them shaped up, they get boring? Yeah, I know, that's happened to me too. So here's Adam, 2 halves, and by the end of chapter 2, it says God joined them together and said, "Now cleave together and be one." I think this is huge. This is just huge. Be one. Have you ever met a couple where you go, "Wow, his best feature is his wife," or her best feature is her husband? Together, when we have these unusual blends, we provide a really nice base for our children. Because if we were both one way, would we be balanced for that other unique little kid that gets put into our family? I think that a deck of cards can teach us a great deal about who we are. Just a simple old deck of cards. They're red and they're black. They come in 4 suits. And you know, cards are very old. Cards were invented, we think, in China, the oldest game on earth. And probably they are the first game you played, even if you didn't play with these kind of cards. They are the cards that we know. What are the first games you remember playing? Maybe you played rummy. If you're like me, you played old maid, right? What was with that game? Maybe that gave me all my angst to turn 30 and not be married. Anyway, we started playing cards. We matched them, we played with them, and I contend that we can learn a lot about our temperaments out of cards. Cards moved from China. They came into the Middle Arabic countries in probably the 13th century. By the 15th century, they were in Europe, where they were terribly expensive and looked down upon because people spent so much money buying these. Ultimately, they came to the United States, and it's something that we use in our language every day. Like we say, oh, they're building their career on a house of cards, or it's in the cards. We say things like, well, he tried every trick, don't we? We use words like, wow, George was really dealt a bad hand, or Bob is playing with a half a deck, not playing with a full deck. We use these words all the time, and I think that it'll teach you a simple method of understanding who the people are we live with. So we have the 4 suits. We have our diamonds, happy-go-lucky people. Our clubs, always in charge. Our spades, always digging for the facts. And our hearts, always caring about the people. So you're scratching your head and you're going, whoa, wonder who I am. Let me share you this little story. I don't know if you've done this before or not, but one day I met this gal that became a really dear friend of mine. Rapidly, we connected. We said, wow, this is so good. We are good friends. I'm pretty much diamond and club. She's pretty much club and diamond. Didn't take long for us to have a good time. We were always having a good time. One of us would think of something to do. Immediately, the next one was with us, ready to go. Then we did something weird. We decided, wouldn't it be fun to get our families together? Not such a good idea. I can see that you've already caught that, right? Not such a good idea. Got the families together. We did okay. It was pretty good. Kids got along. Husbands did okay. So we thought, well, since this was so good, let's go camping in the mountains together. Wow, did the temperaments come out then? We're getting ready to go camping. I found the cabin. We determined rapidly what the food would be. We decided we'd have fun. We'd get all the little kids in the car and we'd have a good time. I'd get the keys. I'd make the arrangements for the rental. The morning broke that we were going to go, and my husband looked and said, oh, nice day, man, like it could snow. I'm going, wouldn't that be fun to get snowed in? But then the other husband, Deep Spade, says, it's going to snow. We need to have chains. Do you have the chains? Are they ready? My husband, Peaceful, says, never snows in California. Who needs chains? Why would I spend money? I rapidly get the kids in the car, get to the mountains, we get all the way up there. They're already there. We're usually late. They're already there, they're unpacked, and my girlfriend looks at me and says, where's the key? And I go, oh my goodness, the key, it's back at home. I felt horrible. He looked at me with long eyes, like who would forget the key? My kids knew it was not time to bug Mom. They jump in the car, we drive back down. Fortunately, we're just in the local mountains. Went back up the mountains, and I am just beating myself up because what idiot would forget the keys? To which my husband says, this is not such a big deal, honey. We'll be back up the hill in a half an hour. We got up the back of the hill in a half an hour, and sure, true to this man's form, he had planned the trajectory for if it would snow, where my husband could park the car so we could just coast down the hill and not get stuck, because he knew that my husband would not buy chains. Aren't we interesting? Well, I'm going to quickly go through some of the good things about each of these suits by themselves. First of all, diamonds. Diamond's philosophy in life is, if it's worth doing, it's gotta be fun. Diamonds are the life of the party. They're talkative, they're storytellers. They can tell a story that isn't even true, and I know the rest of you think we're telling fibs or embellishing, but we really aren't. We're just adding to it. We're cheerful, we're the life of the party. We live in the present. We don't remember your name because it just doesn't stick, but we can tell you what you were wearing yesterday. We know the color, we never forget. We're fun and popular. We volunteer for everything. We think everything's a great idea. Now the flip side to that is, we forget to show up, okay? We don't plug in the coffee pot, don't count on us. We look good, got a lot of energy, we're charming. Everybody likes being around us. Well, once in a while we get a little airheady, but you know, we are fun people. If you're gonna have a party, make sure you invite some diamonds. Diamonds are outgoing, fun-loving people. What about clubs? Club people. Are you a club person? You'll know. Your attitude in life is do it my way now. Now, what you don't even say is sometimes do it my way now. Dummies. But you don't say that. You even call your kids things like get in the car, troops. Things are thought of fast. You are a born leader. This little oldest daughter of mine, remember I told you, looks in the crib, looks through the slats and says, when can I take over this family? They're dynamic and active. Clubs have a compulsive need for change. If something's good, they're going to make it better. They're strong-willed and decisive. They think in bullet points. They think in big picture. They can run anything. In fact, they don't take a job unless they think they can be a president of it soon. They're direct, they're goal-oriented, they see the big picture, they organize well, they're very practical, and you know what? They even thrive on opposition. They're the only people who do, but they really do. We have the hearts. It's people over here. Their attitude in life is, let's just watch it. Maybe it'll go away. Maybe we don't have to do it. They're very easygoing and relaxed. They're calm, cool, and collected. Rarely overreact to anything. In fact, the rest of us they think are all knee-jerk reactors, but they're just peaceful. They're quiet, but they have a real keen sense of perfectly orchestrated wit. You know, a great heart will just sit there. They'll all of a sudden say something and it's all the way past you, and all of a sudden you go, what did they just say? And you fall out laughing because they are so fun. They're sympathetic and kind. They keep their emotions well hidden. You don't know if they're really happy ever, and they really never seem to get too mad. They're just peaceful. They are competent and steady. They're great employees. They will show up over and over and over again. Even if they're not happy, they'll show up. They take care of the people. They are, the other thing that I have to tell you about hearts is they are the world's best learned leader. Because once they've learned how to be a leader, they are always taking care of the people. They mediate problems, they avoid conflict, they're great under pressure, and they like to find the easy way, so they're great in your team because you'll want to know the easy way to get something done. Last group I want to talk to you about just a bit this morning is spades. Their attitude in life is do it perfectly or don't do it at all. They're deep and thoughtful, very analytical. These people are genius prone. Only Michelangelo could lay on his back on the top of the Sistine Chapel for years and paint the perfect picture up there. They're talented, they're creative, they're self-sacrificing, they're conscientious and idealistic. They love lists. They have lists of lists. They're perfectionistic, they're orderly, their grooming is impeccable, they're economical. They want to find the best deal. They will search and search and search till they have the best deal. They have a compulsive need for perfection. And in fact, they do it beautifully. They like charts and graphs, and they like to analyze things. Now, I have a question for you. Where are you in this deck? To find that out, I want you to go and take my sorting tool. My sorting tool is going to be online. You're going to find it at www.sls, Smart Lifestyles, sls-tv.com. It's up on your screen right now. Make sure that you look at that, www.sls-tv.com. And you will find a tool there that you are going to use to figure out who you are, and if you'd like the rest of your family to take it, they can take it as well. So you're going to copy it off, and I want to share with you a little bit about how to use this sorting tool. I'm going to turn my little chart over here. On the tool, you will find a list of 20 describers, 20 lines. The top 10 lines are how are you on a great day? And the bottom 10 lines are how are you on a less than great day? So you're going to find 4 words in a line going across. They're all going to start with the same letter. And so number 1 on your tool is going to say action-oriented, animated, adaptable, and accurate. Your job is to give it a number. If it's really a lot like you, like, oh, that's me, you're going to give it a 4. If it's the next one that's easy enough to fill in is the one that's just absolutely not like me at all. You're going to give that a 1. Not like me. And this one is so much like me. Then you're going to have to figure out the 2 or a 3, and that's okay. 3 is a lot like me, and 2 is not so much. Okay? So if I was doing this, I know that my number 4 is this one. I know that my number 1 is this one. I'm going to give this one a 3 for me and a 2. You will do this. All the directions will be on there for you. Please do it, and when you come back next time, you'll have a good idea of who you are. It's important to think about who we are, because as I've said, you're the only person in your life you have anything to do about and change. But once we start understanding ourselves, we can start understanding other people. Who are they? Who are they to me? How can I relate to them? As I said, this is a first in a series of 5. You're going to want to be sure to tune in for the next one, because we're going to start looking at what strengths do we bring to the team, to the table, to our family. We'll then look at how we communicate with each other, and ultimately, I'm going to teach you how to speak a foreign language. I'm going to teach you how to speak the language of going into Hartsville, going into Clubsville. I want you to know how to connect with each other, to respect those things, those gifts we all bring, and to start entertaining and absorbing those things. Instead of seeing them as things to fight over and struggle over, you start understanding people as different than you are, but ever so important to who you are. So I hope that you meet me again here in my kitchen. And in the meantime, make sure you're loving all of those people that you're with. Make sure that you stay well, and make sure that you are happy. It is the one thing you have a choice about. So until we meet next time, have a great week.